My name is Ashley. I work for Leominster Credit Union. So this presentation is hosted by Leominster Credit Union by me. I'm the fraud analyst. So I handle all the fraud that Leominster Credit Union sees. I am a one-man group, so it's just me that handles all of it. So I'll kind of wait. I do have my business card as well, so if you guys want to grab my business card, feel free to grab that. If you have accounts at Leominster Credit Union and have questions about your accounts, anything like that, feel free to call me. We have Bob Jumper from our Sterling branch. He was not able to make it today, but we do have a Sterling branch. Bob Jumper is the branch manager there. So feel free if you guys have to stop by or anything like that. So I am here today to kind of discuss of all the recent trends we have been seeing for fraud. It's the holidays, so we are seeing quite a bit of fraud. Things that we did not see just months before are now picking up. Skimming devices is one example. That wasn't super popular, but now all of a sudden we are seeing an uptick in skimming devices. So at any time during the presentation, if you have any questions, want to share any stories, feel free to stop me at any time. That way we can discuss. I do have real stories of our members that were scammed. I do have some examples as well. I do have their information blocked so you won't see who it is, but I have some examples of check washing that we have seen that is happening, especially during the holidays. People are mailing checks out for relatives for Christmas. They're sending them off, but guess what? They're being stopped and people are taking them and washing them for different amounts. So please. So check washing, so you write a check out for a relative for $100 and you send it off if they live in Florida. So you send it off to Florida, you mail it. You notice when you get your statement that you have a check number, the same check number that you wrote for $100, but now it's $1,000. So this person or a group of people that are doing it is they take the check and they wash it. So there's different chemicals that can be used to wash checks. Acetone is one of them. So what they do is they kind of tip it and leave the signature part. So your signature is going to match. So they just tip it, dip it in acetone, and all the ink washes off. They sit there, it dries off, and they write it to whoever they want for a different amount. So I have tips for you guys and special pens that I have written down in the presentation that you guys can purchase that will help prevent that. These specific pens are gel pens, so they soak into the fibers of the check, which makes it very, very hard to wash them. So I have that for you guys as well. Yes?
Question on washing. You write the number, they write the number, but you also have to write it out.
That all washes off, so they will write it out. So that won't match. So let's say they wash it all except your signature. So
And
the check number stays on it. Stays on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. There's videos out there that shows how to wash checks, and it's pretty simple. It's scary.
Your name on the check?
Will stay. It will stay. That's printed on the check.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. So I have examples for you guys, so feel free at any time to stop me during the presentation to talk and ask those questions. So just a little fun fact, this is from the Federal Trade Commission. This is all reported. So people that have gotten scammed, they report it to the Federal Trade Commission. All this information comes from them. What's interesting is Massachusetts ranked 23rd in state rank for identity theft fraud that's happened. So Massachusetts, there was $136 million reported in fraud loss. Wow. Georgia was number 1 at $158 million. Yeah. So it's not, I mean, we're 136 million. That's what's reported. So if anyone has gotten scammed and they don't report it, the numbers, it's not going to show. There's a lot more happening. So identity theft is the number 1 for Massachusetts, which is actually pretty interesting. I do see identity theft quite a bit. During the holidays, I see it more. But knock on wood, we have been really good with not having a ton of identity theft. There was a point with Leominster Credit Union around this time last year that there were at least 40 accounts opened that were all identities that were stolen. And those were caught. Those were caught and they were closed right away. but it is happening and it's actually really scary. So I do have brochures of identity theft that you guys can take as well. Yeah.
You brought up the issue of mailing a check.
Yes.
Is there a safer way to send money to somebody you want to? I mean,
I don't like to say there is a safe way because everything has their risks to it. You can do wire transfers. Yep, you can also do that. Wire transfers is a safe way, but just make sure that you are sending it to a trusted person and you get the right information, because once that wire is sent, you are out the funds if you come back and say it was a scam. Banks are not liable for the wires. Yeah. Yes.
The other side of that is when you have a bank, you've got a check and you're saying you want to send it out, walk it to the post office if you can do it.
Yep.
inside.
If you can send it through the post office.
Don't put it on the road next to your box.
Yeah.
But on the other end, if it's getting delivered to somebody who's a rural person, you could lose it there too.
You can lose it, yes. So there's risks to everything. I don't ever say there's a safe way to do something because these fraudsters come up with new ways. So they're like 20 steps ahead of us. So I don't like to say there is a safe way to do things, but obviously there's different alternatives that you guys can do. So I'll kind of talk about elder financial abuse. So the ones in bold on this presentation I have seen in Leominster Credit Union. So I have seen identity theft, romance scams. Those happen all the time. I have online job scams. Those are very frequent with the younger folks. When they go online, look for a job, they fall into an online job scams. I at least see 1 or 2 checks a week that consist of an online job scam. And it's usually kids around 20 to 25 years old that fall for it. Felony lane gang, this one is pretty interesting, and I'll kind of cover it now because I don't go in too much depth of this kind of scam. So this one, Leominster Credit Union was targeted just a couple months ago with this activity. So what happens is there's a group of people, it's a huge group of people, it happens all over, that break into vehicles and they take, your wallets, checkbooks if you have it. And then they go ahead and they go to different banks trying to cash checks with the driver's license and debit card. That happened to one of our members. She lives in Vermont and she was out eating with her husband on a Friday night. And her car got broken into at the restaurant and her debit card and driver's license was stolen. And on Saturday morning, this lady wearing a wig to match her member's hair showed up trying to cash 2 checks for $2,500 each. And she was able to cash it. She had the driver's license, she had the debit card. The money was in the account to hold the checks, and she did pretty good looking like our member, but she went through the drive up, it was quick, and she left and she took a lot of money. They do, and that was definitely a mistake that happened on our end. The teller took the check, she did it quickly, she didn't really look, and off she went, and this person did cash the checks. But
People have fake signatures. They just
and that's true too, because I review checks, any check written over $5,000. So if you have accounts at Leominster Credit Union and you write a check for over $5,000, I am reviewing those checks every single morning. And I can tell you signatures change. If you're in a rush, you're going to sign and it's not going to look like the check you wrote 2 weeks ago. So it's very hard to compare signatures. Yes, please don't leave anything in your car. That's a good tip. And lock your car, absolutely. Don't leave anything. But they're usually under like the $2,500 range. Anything over $2,500 will kind of question a little bit more, but they know that. So they'll write the check for $2,400, $2,200, $1,500, and they just cash them. And that's what they do all day long.
So the example you just gave.
Yes.
The $2,500, what happened? Did she get her money back?
Yes. The bank, Leominster Credit Union, did credit the money back into her account. And we went ahead and filed police reports on the activity and all of that. But the member did. She was all the money put back in her account.
So what happens on the other end? Does Leominster Credit Union ever get the money back?
No.
No?
No. So we take that as a loss.
Unless law enforcement found the person that committed the crime.
Unless, yes, but that's sometimes,
Where?
it doesn't happen all the time.
Well, like the film.
Yes, so it affects obviously the whole credit union, all our books, everything. Like he mentioned, it happens in drive-ups, but we did have one incident that the member, this person went into the bank trying to cash a check. And she had a wig on, and we knew right away that it wasn't our member. And she kind of caught on pretty quickly, and she left. But we did have one person try to go into the branch to do it. So they're pretty brave. So I see mail phishing quite a bit. I have an example of a wash check that I'll kind of show you guys. So I'll kind of go into these, into a little bit more information, and I'll kind of share stories if I have seen it with our members as well. So feel free to stop me at any time with any questions. Grandparent schemes, this happens quite a bit. Have you guys heard of the grandparent scam?
Yes.
Yep. So phone calls. Do you guys receive a lot of scam phone calls? This one is one of them. I had a lady that got she got a call from supposedly her daughter. This fraudster knew that her daughter was vacationing in Hong Kong with her husband. And how did they know? I'm sure social media, they looked and saw that she was away on vacation. And she got a call saying that it was her daughter, supposedly, saying they were in an emergency and needed money wired to her. $24,000. $24,000 she was trying to wire. She went to the branch, they called me right away, and I went down to speak with her, and I asked her, have you called your daughter just to see, just check? And she's like, no, I ran down here right away to wire the money, they're in an emergency. I said, try calling them. She called them and they were perfectly fine. There was no emergency, nothing. But a lot of the times, it's not a wire they're asking for, so sometimes they'll tell you to go to the bank to withdraw money. Couple thousand and take it and put it in your mailbox. Someone will come pick it up. So she was very lucky we were able to stop her because we asked questions. But if it's a cash withdrawal, you go to the bank and it's $3,000, $4,000, we'll ask you questions, absolutely. But you guys can lie to us as well and say it's for home improvements, and off you go and you put it in your mailbox. And we won't know until you come later on saying it was a scam. So please be careful with phone calls you receive, especially if it's supposedly a family member that is in danger, or they're in an emergency, or they have been arrested. Hang up and call that person directly, because a lot of the times this is a scam. So please be careful. Romance scams, we see quite a bit of them. These are very hard to deal with. I had a member that I actually had to close our relationship with him because he wouldn't believe us and kept sending this person money to the UK. Over $10,000. And he continued to do it. He met her on Facebook. 6 months into the relationship, she said that she needed money for an emergency and pay bills. And he was doing it. He would come to the bank trying to do wires, trying to send it through Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, all those apps, and he wouldn't believe us. $10,000, and I talk to him, he'll call me, sometimes throughout the couple months, and he'll just chat, and he's like, yep, I'm still sending, she's coming next month, I'm sending her money. No.
Call it catfisher.
Yes, that is a catfisher. That she is just taking the money, or whoever this person is. We see these quite a bit.
And most often from Nigeria.
Most often from yeah, really. So it's hard. These are very hard to stop, because how can you tell a person that they were in a relationship for 6 months to a year and tell them that this is not real, this is not a real person? They're not going to, it's hard. These are very hard. In most cases, we have to end the relationship with this person because we can't take the risk of losing any money after we're telling them that this is not real. These are very heartbreaking.
So you basically cancel their accounts with the bank?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We close the accounts.
Once they take the money out,
He went to another bank and he's doing it too. So,
So he's going to lose his life savings.
yep, pretty much. These are very hard to deal with. There was a story the FBI put out. There was an 81-year-old woman. She fell for a romance scam, and now she's pleading guilty to 2 charges because she became a money mule.
What do you call it? Money mule?
A money mule. So she was basically money laundering for this person, and it was her boyfriend, and he was in Nigeria. He's a U.S. citizen, but he's in Nigeria working, and he would send her phones to sell and send him the money back, and now she's pleading guilty to charges because she became a money mule, 81 years old, and it all happened because of a romance scam.
But the guy was a U.S. citizen.
Supposedly.
Ex-patriot.
Supposedly in working in Nigeria for business. So with these, please be careful with who you are meeting online. If they're asking for money right away, if they're asking for gift cards, that is a scam. No, so you'll have to either FaceTime separately or like do a Zoom. And a lot of the times I ask them, have you ever FaceTime or video chatted this person 6 months into the relationship? And they're like, no.
They just do chat.
They do chat, email, or through like a WhatsApp app that you can text message and send recordings and stuff like that. But a lot of times they don't video chat. And it's you know, you kind of giggle and stuff, but there's people actually falling for this. They're falling for
They're
this.
lonely.
They are lonely. And when COVID happened, the romance scams just skyrocketed because they were home, lonely, and on social media.
Actually is thinking of how to use this against people.
That's how they make
Yep.
money. That's
Yep.
how they live
And
because
that's
they're
what
in
it
a
comes
poor
down to,
nation.
Yep.
money.
So these people are losing thousands of dollars. It's not just small amounts. They're losing thousands. So just be careful with obviously who you meet online, who you talk to online, who you share information online. I had a
Somebody the other day asked me for my telephone number.
Oh yeah, they'll ask, yeah. That's the start, and then they'll ask you for your account number. I had a member that he met his girlfriend on Facebook as well, and he ended up giving her all his information, date of birth, social security number, all of it. And she opened an account online at a different institution, sent him the checks, and told him to write checks out, deposit them, and send her the money when they cleared. And guess what? When I called him, because the checks were returned, because there was no money in the other account, he told me, I didn't open this account. I said, well, it's your personal check. Where did it come from? He goes, oh, my girlfriend opened the account online for me. I said, so you gave her all your information? He's like, I did. Well, guess what? Now, not only is it a romance scam, he's now a victim of identity theft because they have whoever it is, has his social, date of birth, all his information. So yes.
I hate to use this word, but why are people so
It's hard, and you know there's different circumstances. If they're lonely, they don't have family, it's easy to fall for those things. So you know it's hard. It's very hard, but they do fall for it. And a lot of the times when you ask, they'll tell you, "I am lonely," and that's how it starts. And a lot of people are evil. Yes. Online job scams happen quite a bit. A lot of these, I go to high schools and give presentations. I always tell the high schoolers graduating, please be careful with job postings you see online. LinkedIn is like the #1 site that has a lot of the fraudulent postings. I have members all the time, moms that have kids, they work from home. They'll go on Google, look for jobs, remote jobs, and they fall for these online job scams. A lot of times, Leominster Credit Union, knock on wood, has been really good catching these checks because they kind of look weird and the amounts are pretty high, and we'll stop those right away and there's no loss to the member credit union. But when you apply for a job, what do you give them?
all your information?
All your information. So not only is it an online job scam, again, a victim of identity theft because she gave them full social, date of birth, name, all of that. So these are happening quite a bit. So please be careful, again, what you put online, what you apply for. If you're applying for a credit card, make sure that website is a legitimate website. There's fraudsters that create, Amazon. I'm a huge shopper in Amazon. A fraudster can create an Amazon website that looks exactly like Amazon. And when I go buy and put my credit card information, now they have my credit card information. Same thing with websites. If you're applying for credit cards or loans, make sure the website is legitimate. Look at the URL. Make sure it says, www.capitalone.com. Nothing funky is on that URL.
You do the HTTP.
Yes, yes, that's always there. Yep.
Okay, S for safe.
Yeah. So please be careful because these are happening. It targets more of the younger folks, right after high school and in early 20s that people are falling for these. I do see checks at least once or twice a week. And when I call them, they say it's an online job that they applied for. Mailbox phishing. This one happens quite a bit, especially during this time. These are the checks, the pens I was telling you about that are gel pens, and it makes it very hard to wash checks. If you guys want to write this down, the Uniball 207 gel pen, that's the one I use. If I have to write checks out, I will not write a check with a ballpoint pen. I always use a gel pen because the gel sinks into the fibers of the check.
Excuse me, is that information in the packet?
No, this is just in the presentation. So do you want a pen? Do you have a pen? Do you want to write it down? Yeah, of course.
Could you name some brand names? You went to Staples for any of those?
Staples, so Staples, Walmart, Target has them. The Sharpie, the Pilot, and the Uniball, those are very common. So you'll find
Do you
those.
find a brand name on the box? I mean, the generic Uniball 207, Pilot.
Good stocking stuffers, I like to say. But if you go to the store, Pilot is the brand. So you just look for the Pilot. So if you go to like Target, Pilot is the brand. So you just go look for the Pilot, and it's 207 gel pen. They're right there. It says it right on the pen box. Pilot, yep. Sharpie, the S gel pens, those are good too. I use the first one, yes. Nope, I write checks with gel pens. Even at the banks, we accept it as well. Yep. So I always use the one, Uniball 207 gel pen. Gel pens, they sink into the fibers of the check, like I said, so it's harder to wash. I don't write checks out with just, like the LCU pen I will not use. I only use the gel pens. Like these are not gel pens. I won't use those to write checks. Yes. The Pilot G2. You're welcome. 0.38, yep. And these can be found local Walmart, Target, Staples as well. So with a mailbox phishing, it's literally how it sounds. Groups of people go around, and especially with the residential mailboxes, when you guys mail checks, do you guys go to like the post office to send them off, or do you put them in like your home mailbox and put that little red flag up?
I used to.
Used to, yes, stopped. Good. Don't do that, because people will drive around looking for those mailboxes and go and take those checks out. And what happens is they wash the checks, and they'll write it out to someone completely different with a different amount. I've seen one where a guy was paying his Comcast bill for, I think it was like 68 and some change. They wrote it out for 6,800. And he noticed when he got his statement in the mail, and he's like, what is this check for $6,800? Came into the bank, we looked into it, and he mailed it to Comcast, but that check was washed, and they wrote it out to someone completely different and deposited in another institution in Tennessee. Yes, absolutely. And I was talking to someone here earlier this morning, and he explained that he has a checking account. He keeps most of his money in the checking account. I said, don't do that. And he asked why. I said, because let's say you're mailing a check, right? What's on that check? The routing and account number. That fraudster can go tap into that account, and guess what? They're going to take your money out of your checking account. And that check, like she said, is not going to bounce because you have the funds available. Yeah, you can. So like online banking, you definitely can. You can get alerts as well. But if you're writing checks out and let's say they washed it for $6,800, if you have the funds available, that's going to clear. That's going to clear. And so I would review that check, right? But if that's, it really falls on a manual review. You can put alerts on your profile, and we can do that, but most of the time it's probably going to clear.
But I would just point, excuse me.
Yeah.
I would just point out that that's not the case with all financial.
No, absolutely not. No. Other institutions have different process of how they handle things. With Leominster Credit Union, I can tell you personally, because I review all the checks over $5,000 that clear. I would call members. I call members for basically anything over $5,000 just to confirm, because a lot of the times, and this is more related with banking, there's very specific time frames I have to return that check as a fraudulent check. You will not be out the money because we will replace it, but for us, we have very specific time frames. So yes, no, that's just for Leominster Credit Union. I can't speak on behalf of like bigger banks or other credit unions. Yep, I do the exact same. Yes, checking accounts. Please don't keep large balances because if you keep a lot of your money in there, checks will not bounce and they will take everything that's available.
What do you consider a large balance?
It's hard because everyone's different, you know. So for me, I don't keep more than $5,000 in my checking account. Everything else gets transferred to my joint savings with my husband. We both have access to online banking, and we'll just transfer it back and forth. Did you have a question? No.
Part of this mail thing is even the big blue USPS boxes on the side of the street. I know it's Sterling here, now it's cut down to
It's very
little
thin.
tiny slot. You can't
Yes.
get anything in it.
A lot of them are like that. They change them. It's very thin. So it's helping. I can say more for like my area, Leominster, Fitchburg. It has helped. I don't know if Detective Chase, do you get a lot of mail phishing incidents with the post office? But no.
What exactly does that, they take like a device and they stick it down inside the mailbox, right? It was on the news about it.
So there's different ways. So before they changed it to be very, very thin, they would literally take, something on one end and put like tape or whatever the case may be, put it in and take as many envelopes as they possibly can take. But now that's changed where that's why it changed to being thinner because you can't put much in there just besides the envelope.
There's another thing too, I don't know if it's happening out here, but postmen were being attacked or robbed. They weren't after the mail, they were after the keys.
Yep.
Once they
Yep.
get the keys, they can get in the box. So
Absolutely.
little things.
Absolutely. Yep. That still is happening. I don't hear much around our areas, but that does happen.
They stopped some guy, it was on the news in Cambridge, two little lights from New York City, driving around, getting into the big boxes, I think, even with the
They
key.
were probably doing that.
They had over 1,000 pieces of mail in the trunk.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're looking for checks.
Absolutely. To wash them. Absolutely. So I have seen this, knock on wood, we haven't seen it around the holidays at Leominster Credit Union. We have not received one washed check. I am probably jinxing myself, and when I go back today, I'm probably going to have one waiting for me. So, but we're very lucky we haven't seen. But other institutions have seen washed checks. I am very close to a lady at DCU. She has seen some washed checks as well. So it is happening. So please be careful with what you're mailing. Review your statements. That is probably how you're going to figure out if your bank doesn't contact you. You're probably going to figure out when your statement gets sent to your house and you're reviewing it. When you see a check that cleared for a different amount. Absolutely, and that's another option as well. If you have credit cards, you can use it, especially if you're shopping online. Your credit card's not linked to your main operating checking account, like your debit card is. So if you have fraud on your credit card, I hate to say it, but it's easier to report it and get your money back right away. Rather than the credit union, we have to investigate. We'll give provisional credit within 7 business days. Credit card companies are pretty quick, and you'll get it right away. Yes.
Can that debit card be used as a credit card as well?
So you can use it as credit, but that's still linked to your checking account. It's just a different way. It's how fast the money comes out of your account. Whereas a credit card, it's just,
The difference being you don't use your PIN number when you're using it as a credit card.
but it's still coming out of your checking account. Yep, so it's still linked to that checking account. Yeah. So these pens are good little tips. I use the first one. So any checks that I write, I always use gel pens. So that's my little tip to you guys. Personal loan scams, I have seen quite a bit. I have seen 3 so far with, especially the holidays. 3 different members applied for loans online. They needed the funds right away. So they search online for personal loans. They click the first website they saw. They applied for it. And when they were supposedly going to get the money in the account, several days went by. They didn't receive anything. When they tried calling, it was a scam. So these are happening. My biggest tip for you guys and to share with family, if you're looking for loans, anything, go to your financial institution and ask them, where can I apply for a loan? Can I apply for a loan here? Because a lot of these websites are not legitimate websites for personal loans. And now you're a victim of identity theft. So please, please be careful. This one's a big one, and it's happening quite a bit, and it's scary. The computer account takeover. You're using your laptop, and you receive a random pop-up message on your laptop.
Blue screen.
Your blue screen, that blue screen of death, that's scary. And you can't exit out, and it tells you, call this number, and you call. And they're going to help you, and they're going to remote into your laptop. And when they remote into your laptop, guess what they're doing? If you stealing your information, absolutely. So if you're online banking, if you use online banking, and you're logged into your online banking, or your credentials are saved, which you never save credentials to anything, okay? Don't do it. They are taking that. A lot of the cases I have seen at Leominster Credit Union, this pop-up came up on their laptops and they couldn't exit out. And they called the number right away. They remoted into their laptop. They went in and she was logged in. She had her credentials saved onto her online banking. They logged in and they were transferring money from savings to checking, and they were telling her they deposited that. She has to return the funds back to them. This whole thing, they confused her. At the end of the whole short story, they confused her. She ended up going to the bank to withdraw money, a couple thousand, to send to them. Guess what? That was all a scam. It wasn't a company trying to help her. So if you receive random pop-ups on your laptops or tablets, anything you guys use, phones, just shut it off immediately. Do not call that number. Do not respond to an email that you get. Don't do anything, because those are scams. I don't have anything saved at all to my laptop. I delete my history, I delete all of it. If I have to log into online banking, I just go on the website, Leominster Credit Union, log in through online banking that way. I never save credentials to anything because that's how it's happening. A lot of these people have their credentials saved onto their laptop, tablet, and when they remote in, they will just go in, click it, log in, and start transferring money back and forth. A lot of the times, they will tell you just to log into your online banking. And they're seeing on their end, they're seeing everything. So when you're typing in your username and you're typing in your password, they get all of that information. So it happens. But if you get a pop-up on your laptop, tablet, anything you use, don't click anything and don't call the number that they're providing. Yeah, so when you log out, as long as it's not saved, so when you go back into, like, let's say Leominster Credit Union, when you go back to the website, you have to type in your username and password every time, right? Yeah, that's fine. So just log out completely. Yeah, log out completely. So with these are very scary. We had just a resident here in Sterling. It happened like this. She received a pop-up on her laptop. She called the number. They ended up confusing her. It was a big, big thing, but she lost over $19,000. And it started with a pop-up on her laptop. So these are happening. And they will confuse you and they will convince you to send money to this company, to this person, whatever the case may be. Don't do it. Also, scams that are going around. Leominster Credit Union is calling you to verify your date of birth, your social security number, anything, just to verify a transaction. No, I will tell you personally, I will not call you asking you for your social security number.
Same thing with the IRS.
IRS will not. I have that information. I will ask to verify the last four just to make sure, but I will not ask for your full social to verify a transaction. We will not do that. So please, if you get a phone call from your financial institution, hang up and call the number on your statement or call the number that you do know or go stop by a branch to verify. Those scams are happening and people are falling for them because they say,
Scam too.
what was it?
Yes, scam.
The yes scam, yes. So when they call, you say yes, they have your authorization. That's a very common one. But with your...
They say your name, it's like a robot.
Yeah. Yep, and you say yes and you authorize them to do anything. But with the financial institution call, please just don't hang up right away and call or stop by a branch to verify that we called you, because those are happening. I at least get 1 or 2 phone calls a week asking if we called. We did not. Yes, or it's stuck somewhere, so please, I get those all the time. I get those all the time. Those are all scams. So don't respond to
You need
those.
to block the senders.
And I know on iPhones you can delete and report junk. So you can do that on iPhones. Yep. Oh, you can do it on Android as well? Okay, yep, you can do that. But just delete those right away. Don't click anything. Once you click, it's just trouble from there. So please be careful. Cryptocurrency scams I won't cover too much, but just know a lot of these scams that are happening, like the computer account takeover, they'll ask you to withdraw money and go to a Bitcoin ATM. Bitcoin ATMs are located in a lot of gas stations, convenience stores. Those look like ATMs, but they will convert your money into cryptocurrency. Just please be careful. If you receive a phone call asking to make a withdrawal and send it through a Bitcoin ATM or cryptocurrency, don't do it. That is a scam. I had a lady, Unitil called her and to send money through a Bitcoin ATM. Guess what? Unitil is not going to call you for cryptocurrency. So if it's a company or a person calling you for anything to be sent through a Bitcoin ATM, stop and just tell someone, go to local PD, do anything. Don't put that money into that ATM. And I am pretty sure Detective Chase can back me up on that. If you put that money in the ATM, a lot of the times that money is gone. So don't come to me because I can't do much, and I'm sure you'll report it to Detective Chase, but he'll try his best, but it's not very, very likely that you'll get that money back. So please be careful with cryptocurrency. It's hard to trace. It's not impossible. It's very hard to trace back to a person if you do send it. So please, please be careful. Skimming devices, I'll cover. These were not super popular. Now, all of a sudden during the holiday season, we have seen quite a few skimming devices. There was a very local credit union, a different credit union, that had a skimming device on their ATM for 9 days.
Really?
They lost $250,000.
You should be sure skimming devices at gas stations.
Oh, I have,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
You know, because you want to enter your card, and the gas station always, but there was like this green circular, it was on the card, I mean, on the intake, it was like, that looks unusual. And
Yes.
it wasn't on any of the other things.
That's a skimming
Right
device.
away.
Yep. So skimming devices. So this credit union had one in their ATM for 9 days. I can speak on only Leominster Credit Union's behalf. Our ATMs, if there is any skimming device detected on the ATM itself, it will shut down. It will not work. A lot of, I don't know what other banks have, but our ATMs, if there's a skimming device detected, it will shut down. Also, we review our ATMs every single morning and night. We will pull on it, we will do anything, and we will, obviously, if we find anything, we'll report it, but we check all our ATMs in every single branch, every location. Yeah, so there's so many different skimming devices. A lot of them could be magnetic where it goes inside, but even our ATM will detect that, and it will shut down. Gas stations are popular with the ones you can't see. This was several months ago. I know better. I do this for a living, and I used the pump, and I paid with my credit card. I had my son in the back, and I was in a rush. And 15 minutes later, I get a phone call from my credit card company that my card was compromised. How? Because I used that pump, and there was a skimming device in that pump. Also, gas stations, go inside and pay.
Yeah, cash.
I should have done that. I should have done that, but guess what? I had my son in the back seat, and I had to pump gas quickly, and my card was compromised. So, yes.
So some of these are in behind and you can't tell from the slot.
A lot of times, you probably wouldn't even tell the gas station ones. A lot of times, they could be magnetic, where it goes inside. So when you put your card inside, it just takes your information and sends it to whoever's put that skimming device. Also, look at the void label. Obviously, at the gas stations, if it's tampered with, don't use that pump. This is an example at an ATM. You can tell that's the normal slot at the ATM. The little extra black piece, that's a skimming device. But if you go to the ATM on a weekend and you look at it, are you going to tell me that you would probably still use that, right? It looks just like an ATM. You wouldn't know that's a skimming device. Yes.
Jiggle it?
Yeah.
You're saying it goes inside, so you can't, how do they retrieve it? If it goes inside the.
They just leave it there. So whoever's putting it just leaves it there until someone reports it.
Those things are.
You can retrieve them.
And find all of them by just jiggling it and trying to pull it out.
Correct. So the ones that are placed over it, you can jiggle it. So you can pull it, you can do anything, and if it comes off or it's, it wiggles, don't use it. Because that can be an indication there's a skimming device on it.
Well, wouldn't you just take it off and go to the gas station and say, what's this?
Yes, absolutely. You can take it off, you can report it to local PD, all of that. But a lot of times if it's a magnetic one that goes inside, you won't see it. You'll put your card in. That's what happened to me. I didn't see anything funky on the gas pump.
And there was nothing wiggling?
No, nothing. I put my card in, and then 15 minutes later, I got a phone call.
The thing that happened to me when that happened at the skiway,
Mm-hmm.
it was Hess at the time. It made me put my card in 2 times.
Oh, probably having a hard time reading it. Mm-hmm.
One of the problems, all of us, you pull into a gas station, it's like bang, bang, you wanna get
Yeah.
out of there, put in the gas, get the card, and leave. It's like, oh, I gotta go to the store, the wife
Yeah.
wants me home, da-da-da.
Yeah.
And it always says, sometimes it'll shoot back, please pay inside.
Yes.
All right, would it not be reasonable, when you go to a gas station, what's the effort? You're already outside of your car.
Go.
Okay, just walk up and pay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so convenient to
Yeah.
just, whatever, but it says right on it, please pay inside.
Yeah.
right? I mean, it would be wise for any time to always pay inside.
Yep.
What's the big deal?
I definitely learned my lesson. I pay inside. But a lot of people are in a rush. We live in a rush. Let's be honest. We live in a rush. I feel like I am always rushing. So yes, just take it easy. Just go inside and pay. That way you can prevent anything happening to your debit or credit card. Yes.
Can you point to the thing you're talking about, like the
So this is the regular ATM. That little part is the skimming device. Yeah.
Yeah, so, obscure, really.
Yeah, so just be careful. Obviously, if you're using an ATM during the weekend, just, touch it, feel anything. Even if you look weird doing it, who cares? Who cares?
Explain to the people about the tap.
Yeah.
Some of the gas stations have the tap ability.
Yep, so a lot of these, skimming devices are Bluetooth activated, so even if you tap, that card information is getting sent, via Bluetooth. You have to think, a lot of these, if they're Bluetooth activated skimming devices, they're within a certain radius. They have to be around to get that information. Brings me to my next one. My husband is a manager at Market Basket. Did you guys hear on the news and on the radio stations there were skimming devices found on Market Basket? Several Market Baskets? Yeah. So when that news came out, that was like 2 weeks after it happened, by the way. So that wasn't news right away. But my husband sent me photos of the skimming device that were found in several Market Baskets. This, and I can show you at the end of the presentation if you want to come up to my computer. You're more than welcome to do so. But these were placed on top of the original one in front of the cashier. If you asked me months ago if I thought someone would go through a register and place one in front of the cashier, I'd be like, you're crazy.
They distracted the cashier.
Yes, that's what happens. So when I asked my husband how it happened, he goes, I looked at the video. They sent the video out to the managers. And what happened was there was 2 guys that went. One distracted the cashier, and the other one placed it on top of the normal
I'll have
terminal.
the bag.
Yeah, right? So this right here, this whole unit was placed on top of the real one.
It's an electrical board. I mean,
Yes. If you notice, there's a little chip, that gold little chip, that's like the Bluetooth part of it. So even at the grocery store, when you tap, this little section right here, and I can show you guys at the end closely,
Yeah, that's a tap.
that's a tap section. So even if you tap your card, it's still giving that person, that fraudster, whoever it is, the information because it's all Bluetooth. Isn't that
Can
crazy?
you put it in like the slide thing?
Huh?
You know, the place where you can slide?
Mhm.
You know, it's, I know, but sometimes you do have cards that it asks you to slide if the chip can't be read.
Yes, but
Okay.
that's all still being transmitted. It's all being transmitted, yeah.
Okay, so explain to them about using the store gift card.
Yeah, so obviously if you use, so let's say you're using a gift card to pay. You're sliding that, right, to pay for your groceries. It's still getting transmitted to that fraudster, whoever's doing it, but it's not a real legitimate card number attached to your account. So they aren't going to be able to buy anything else. They're just going to see it and try, but it's not going to work. So you can pay with your groceries with a gift card that you can purchase behind the courtesy booth. Don't just pull one off the rack. Just be careful with that. And pay for groceries that way. That's a safe way to do it. But this was located in several Market Basket stores in different areas. Yes, yes.
Is the tap, so is that tap thing, better to slide it rather than use that tap?
None of it.
No, it's none of it.
They're all
Doesn't.
compromised.
Yeah. Yeah. And you won't notice, you won't know it's a skimming device until you look at your statement. You see your charge for Market Basket, and after that, you see 20 other charges for different amounts for different companies.
All the employees, like the cashiers, it always says first year on the cards, okay? Are any of them trained so that they, you know, when
Yeah.
they come on, you know, the kids there for the first year said, you know, only on once a week, or it's up in the, where the employees check in their cash
No.
register. But your husband tell them, you know, put it up where people come in and do their.
That is my husband's nightmare every single day. Because in the mornings you have your, experienced cashiers there, and at night you get the high schoolers that, come out of school to work. Well, they're there for 3-4 hours. They don't really check. They don't. My husband tells them all the time, look for this, check for this, look for that. They don't care.
You ever
They
think any of them
don't
are
care.
part of the plan?
Oh God, I hope not. But I wouldn't put it past it. I hope not. I really hope not. But you never know nowadays. But now, Market Basket is not like a financial institution. They don't have things that they have to do every single day. Obviously, now they're checking those terminals a lot more than what they did because of this incident. But no, you can train a high schooler, but if are they gonna do it? Who knows? Obviously, there's consequences if they don't, but it's hard because there's just different people working.
I've noticed on some of the keypads at the supermarket that they have a cover over, like, it's like a plastic cover that they have over the keypad thing. I don't know if that's there so that the keys don't get gummed up with
Yeah.
dirt underneath it or anything, so it'd be hard to put one of those over that
Yeah.
rubber plastic
Yeah.
cover.
There's, skimming devices, like I said, they weren't super popular. Now they are. So there's different types of skimming devices. I can give a whole presentation on skimming devices, but you'll be here all day. So these are just a few examples of what's actually. So these are the same ones. This
They're
is,
both skimming devices.
yes. Yeah,
She's
definitely.
just showing you what's underneath.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if they're skimming devices, they don't go underneath, they go on top.
They go on top. So the whole terminal went on top of the real one.
And that's what we do at
It
gas
looks like a regular
stations,
keyboard.
put it right on top.
Gas stations, some go right on top, and some are the magnetic ones that go inside.
So those things, if you were going to pay by credit card, you could jiggle that and suddenly open it.
Yeah, so guess who jiggles at Market Baskets now? This lady right here. I go to the register and I am pulling on it, and the young girl's like, look at me, and I'm like, I know what happens here. I know there are skimming devices. So it's all over the news now. But yes, I am that person that will go through the cash register and I will pull on it before I put my card in.
But the magnetic one in behind, you can't do that.
No. I was affected with that with the gas station. I wouldn't have known. So yeah, it's scary, right? What's happening out there in the world.
Go back to cash.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's scary what's happening in the world, and this is why I love coming out to, show you guys what's happening, because a lot of times you'll hear it weeks, months after it happened. No, this happened weeks ago, and they just went out in the news, a week and a half ago, saying that there were skimming devices? No, this was happening.
Looking for bad publicity. They don't want to lose business.
No. Quick examples, because I know I don't want to keep you guys here for too long. This was the checks that were stolen, part of the felony lane gang. That lady that went with the wig trying to cash checks. So she wrote it out to our member's name, so it was made payable to our member. But these checks belong to an Emily that were also stolen out of Emily's car. So these people are traveling with stacks of checkbooks and identification in the back seat and going around banks trying to cash them.
Funeral arrangements.
And the memo always has something like funeral arrangements, house improvements, all of that. So these checks
Did
were
it 2
presented.
days.
Yep.
July 12th and the 14th.
Yep. And she signed Emily's name. But in this case, I couldn't compare Emily's signature because she's not a member at LCU. She's a member at this guarantee bank. So I wouldn't know. It just had our member, it was made payable to our member, and then they signed the back of the check.
So that looks like a new bank account because the number of the check is low.
And not necessarily, because a lot of members, it doesn't really matter. If the member takes it upon themselves to order checks, they can start back to the hundreds. So that doesn't really mean anything.
I thought banks were basically requiring people to open an account when cash a check.
The check was made payable to our member, so they did have an account at Leominster Credit Union.
Made payable to a member.
Yes, I blocked her name off, but it was our member. So it was Emily's check and another bank. So it's like my check from my bank, I'm writing it out to you. You have an account at LCU. The person pretending to be you is going to LCU with your driver's license and your debit card, cashing it. Yeah. This was a wash check. So it's not very clear because I had to obviously copy and paste it into the presentation. But you can see there was different, like, writing underneath. There was like little specks of pen. Yeah.
Washed totally.
Yeah. So this one, when I saw it the original photo, it was easy to tell because I can tell there was other pen marks on it. But this check was washed. This check was written for, I believe it was written for like the 67, and they just put a 9 in front of it. And then they just they washed it and wrote the 967.
You did the blanking out, right? The blank.
I did, yeah, because that was our members.
That's not part of it.
No, that was our members' information. So this was a wash check. It's not very clear in the presentation, but when I saw the original, there was definitely other pen marks on it.
So when they changed the 6 to a 9, then they had to change the 9 to the written part.
Yep, to the written part, yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yep, and then this part also had, like you see this little section right here?
Yeah.
That's pen that was washed. That was pen that was washed. All these little marks. But this was a pretty good one because they were able to write it all out. But I have been seeing checks for quite a while, so I kind of picked it up and picked up that there was pen marks on that. Obviously, fraud prevention, don't click any emails, don't give out any information to anyone, don't answer any phone calls, and provide anything to anyone. Just don't do anything, basically. So don't do anything. At the end of every presentation, I tell them, just live under a rock at this point because it's scary what's happening out there. If you're a victim of identity theft, please right away report it. Go to the identitytheft.gov website to report that you're a victim of identity theft. I also have handouts for identity theft as well. That's actually a very scary one because all you can do is report it and freeze your credit. So please, if you don't have your credit frozen, please do that. Freeze it right away. All you have to do is call the credit bureau. All you have to do is call one of these credit bureaus and tell them you want to freeze your credit. And once you do it with one, all the other credit bureaus will freeze your credit as well.
Just a second.
Yeah, of course. What I mean by freezing your credit, it's not going to affect any credit cards you have now or accounts or anything like that you have now. It's not going to affect it. What I mean by freezing your credit is if a person gets your information and tries to apply for a credit card, if your credit is frozen, they will not be able to apply because it will stop them immediately. And it will notify you that someone's trying to apply for a credit card or a loan with your information. That's the benefit of freezing your credit.
The Equifax number is different.
Is different?
Yeah.
So there's probably different lines. So depending on like the options you pick. But I always give this one to my members and they are successful in freezing their credit. So it's probably the different options you can choose. You're welcome. So if you go to apply for a credit card or a loan, all you have to do is call the same number, say I'm so-and-so, they'll verify you the way they do, and they'll lift the freeze and put it right back when you're done.
These machines now are recognizing your voice.
AI is a whole nother beast that I will keep you here for six, like literally for another 6 hours. A quick story with AI. I had a fraudster call me using AI, artificial intelligence. They were using an app that made them sound like our member. How they got the voice of our member? Easy. What do you put on social media? Do you put videos? Do you put anything? I put videos of my son and I'm speaking. Guess what? They have the sound of my voice. So what they do is they take a clip of that video, and with artificial intelligence, they get it and they sound just like me. So I had a fraudster call pretending to be our member, and when I listened back to preview, I had a hint that it was a fraudster calling because of the questions they were asking. And when I went back to pull other calls, it sounded just like them. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. This is pretty interesting. But the person I had on the phone couldn't answer several of the security questions. And that's what was a red flag to me. Then, on the other end, I'm calling our real member on the other line and asking, are you calling? He's like, no, I'm home, I'm watching TV, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, stay on the line. So I go back to the fraudster, and then he's talking, and he's like, I want this debit card to go through, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. I said, it's funny because I actually have the real person that identified themselves and answered all the security questions on the other line. He goes, oh, tell him I've been trying to call him. I'm like, are you kidding me? The fraudster was like, I'm trying to call him. Tell him I said hi. I'm like, I was like, stop wasting our time and stop wasting your time trying to get into his accounts. And I never got a phone call from that person again. But it was AI. It sounded just like our member. The only thing is, this person couldn't verify himself. He couldn't answer the security questions. It's crazy. AI is going to be a whole nother thing. It's people that are into technology, it's going to be great what you can do with AI, but it's going to be a disaster for me.
They're also taking your children's pictures and
Yeah.
like making it so like
Yeah.
they can make you grow up.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah.
They use that for romance scams too. Artificial intelligence is scary, but it is going to be a big, big thing. So please be careful with anything you guys do.
I wanted
If,
to share
yeah.
my gift card thing that I mentioned.
Oh, yes. Gift cards, holidays. Do you guys purchase gift cards off the rack at the stores? Please be careful. What they're doing now is they're grabbing the gift cards, walking out with them, going home, heating up the envelope of the gift cards, opening it, taking the serial code and the PIN, putting it back, sealing it, putting it back on the shelf, so when you go buy it, activate it, the money's gone.
You can actually access it online too.
So that's what they're doing. They're also tampering with just the envelope at the store. Well, they'll kind of open it, look at the code, the PIN, and when you go activate it, guess what? They already have the PIN. That money's gone as well. So please be careful with gift cards you purchase off the rack at the stores, especially during the holidays. Look at the envelope. If there's any rips, anything, put it back, report it, give it to the manager. Feel for the whole card. So if it's a gift card, they're all sealed inside. Feel for it. It should be the size of your debit card. If you don't feel the full card or you feel like it's cut in half, don't buy it. Give it back to the manager. Because what they do is, that's what they do. They heat it up, take it out, cut it, seal it, and put it back on the shelf. That is happening. Yes?
RFID in your wallet and handbooks.
Yep. So,
Buy one of these.
yep, those wallets, they're specific wallets that will prevent from your information being taken. But like I said, please be careful with anything you guys do. If you suspect that you're a victim of fraud, please go to your bank, go to your trusted person, whoever that is. Don't be embarrassed. The number one thing I tell people that come to me, I prefer you come to me at first rather than later when you're $10,000 deep and I can't do anything for you. I could have probably stopped a lot more transactions in the beginning, but a lot of times they're just embarrassed. So please be careful.